the visionary founder. That's a big word. Of Vibe Real Estate. It's got 175 agents. He just crossed over 425 million in sales.
I've always been told you need to be lean as hell or big as fuck. We value people over commissions, right? Contracts over commissions. They respond to this within 30 minutes to acknowledge it came in, and they have to complete it within 90. I want every person in our company to own at least 3 rental properties before they get out of the business. Ideally paid off.
So explain, how would you explain that?
Oh, hey, they're here.
What's up?
Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. You're really going to like what you're going to watch.
Yeah.
If you haven't liked it yet, you should really hit that like, subscribe button.
Like, subscribe. We're going to get untucked, and you should probably do it with us.
And if not, we're going to get all in your inbox.
Let's go.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Real Estate UnTucked podcast. Today, we're sitting down with a good friend of ours, Stephen Pipich. He is the visionary founder, not just the founder, the visionary founder. That's a big word. Vibe Real Estate. It's up in Baltimore, Maryland, right? It's got 175 agents. He just crossed over 425 million in sales. He knows what it's like to grow a company. He knows what marketing is. And, it is just a really cool thing to watch this company grow as it has the last couple of years. So we're going to dive into everything from agent support to broker culture to client loyalty to real estate investing. Like, we're going to go through the whole gamut. So thanks for being here, Stephen. And let's kick it off. Let's get unfucked.
Looking forward to it.
All right. So let's just go real basic at first. Like, just for some background, a lot of people because Vibe's a unique kind of brokerage. Like, what's the setup? What makes Vibe different than most other brokerages out there?
Yeah, so we operate more as a teamerage type model. So I was a real estate team before having a brokerage. My real estate team was highly leveraged, had admin support, marketing department, runner services, finance department, and I couldn't grow to the size that I wanted to. And I wanted to grow because for one, I wanted more market share. I wanted more people to work with me and have more collaboration at a high level. I wanted to allow people to have a bigger life. So we wanted to grow to a certain part. And the only way I could do that was, I think, unbranding my current team and creating a brokerage that was more generic and still offering the same services that my team offered to a large amount of people. But in May of 2023, I collapsed my team into the real estate brokerage. We had then 25 agents and about 7 on the support staff. And then fast forward 2 years later, through small recruiting efforts, more organic traffic and relationships. And now we have 150 agents and 25 staff. So 175 total in the company. And again, we offer all services now from transaction management, offer writing 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., client gifts, runner services, marketing department, CRM services. So everything that a high-powered, high-leverage team offers, but a person can create their own brand within the brokerage as well.
And you make a profit, which sounds impressive.
That's ideal. Yeah. So we're doing pretty well. There was a part was a bit messy, and that's, I think most real estate teams expect that and have that happen when you're at the 10 to 20 agents. It's a bit hairy. I've always been told you need to be lean as hell or big as fuck. And this is what we had to do. So we are growing and there's no end in sight as long as it's the right people. I want to protect the culture, protect the home, protect home base, but grow to a point where we can use great talented people we learn from, more market share, more flags in the yard, and hopefully a bigger and better business.
So what's the right culture? Like, what are the things that would cause you to, what are the cultural standards you have?
Yeah, so we have turned down some people, right? If it's an ethical or a legal issue, we don't want that in our company. We don't want that reputation. For us, you just have to be a good person, right? Answer your phone and do the right thing. We value we value contracts and closings over, we value people over commissions, right? Contracts over commissions.
There you go.
So we value people. We don't want to do things. We're chasing a paycheck, chasing a dollar. So look out for your client first. And we value collaboration. That word's thrown around a lot, right? Everybody uses that word in all different contexts, but we have an internal app that we have and everyone shares their wins. They share their strategies. They share their secrets. So there really isn't anything being withheld. We literally have people in our company that are agents and top producers that want to hold training events because they have something to share, right? So they're telling us, hey, November 12th, we have one coming up. We want to have a day where we're just going to call our clients and just hold each other accountable and have fun doing it. And they want to do it. This doesn't come from...
So if you're talking to somebody who's wanting to build what you're building, what would you say, hey, do these 4 things to create culture? Like, what are the things that you would tell them to do? The specific, 3-5 things you tell them to do to actually build and keep culture?
Yeah, I would say that leadership has to be authentic and be open-minded, listen to people. We do listen to our agents and their feedback. So we have a unanimous survey and feedback box that we allow them to submit. They can choose to mention who they are. They can choose to leave it anonymous, but regardless, we want to listen to that and take it serious and take action. I would say that we, again, open-minded, allowing people to share resources, share their secrets, not protect sort of things that we all could learn from. There's enough business out there that you're not going to, give something away and now lose half your business. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So I'd say those few things. And I think for me, it's like relationships. When I'm always reachable, accessible, I get back to people within the same day. I try to, look out for them as if it's myself and for my own business. So I want to see them grow, because if they win, then I win as well.
So I got a question on growth, right? Because I've seen some companies, unfortunately or fortunately, my company hadn't had this problem yet, where you've had just explosive growth. How'd you keep the initial 25 not turn into like bitching about like, oh, we're too big now. I didn't sign on for this. Like, I don't like all these random people. Like, what did you go through that? And because I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Yeah, we had a few friends of mine that were with me from the beginning. When I started my team in 2018, these guys had joined in 2019, and at that time we were a team of 6. And so we got to a certain size of 25 people, and now making this pivot to a brokerage. And they said, we kind of missed that whole family feel that we had, like we were all hanging out a lot together. And that is tough, because as you grow, you're going to have more dinners, more events, more conversations with different people. And I think that's just growth, and I think that these now players and producers in our company that are a big part of our culture, they understand that. And we still have our own trips that we go on. Right. So I'll go on special small trips with those guys. These 2 specifically I'm referencing, we bought properties in Detroit because we wanted to sort of have something together. And of course, partnerships are tough. And I told them this ahead of time, that this may not be the easiest investment, for the 3 of us. And I don't want it to impact our relationship, but I think it holds us together and we have something to be proud of. So it's challenging, right? Because you want to hang out with everyone. And especially me, I see the good side. I'm very optimistic about everyone and I want to hang out with them. So I kind of just do so as much as I can without being super intentional behind it, and just kind of picking my battles to a degree.
What was the biggest mistake you did make? Like looking back, like, oh, I wish we would have done like these 1 or 2 things different, specific to growing and kind of the people side.
I would say that we probably opened up more offices than we need to. Right? So we have 5 offices in the Baltimore metropolitan area. They're all in their different counties. The drawback is that they all are filled with people, but fewer people, right? So if we had one office, we would have, probably 35 people in this office, a lot of good energy, a lot of good conversations, good masterminding. If we had somebody come in as a speaker, it'd be a lot more attended. So because we have now multiple offices, also is higher expenses. But for us, we knew that we were growing. We knew that we were scaled to grow. And we also want to grow into these areas where these agents and these teams wanted a place to call home. And in order for us to kind of grow into those markets, we had to get a space. It doesn't have to be, a 3,000, 4,000 square foot, facility or space.
It doesn't, because that's all I've ever done is just buy 6,000 square foot fucking buildings and not have anybody show up.
Yeah.
So there's mistake number 1, if anybody's tracking.
Yeah. The average space we have is about 2,500 square feet. No, it's less than that, probably 2,000 square feet, which is still large space.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think at this point, we can probably triple our size and not have to get any more offices. Yeah.
Asking for a friend here, but how do you set up your leadership team? If you got 150, whatever number it is, but it's only you're still cranking out a bunch of deals. How did you find the right people to go into leadership and to carry the torch of the culture?
Yeah. So I have a partner in the company with me. We're co-founders together. And so his director of operations at the time was his strong suit. And my weakness was not having that person, right? In 2020, I had my director of operations and director of sales both left my company. Director of sales, I let go because there was some culture issues with my director of operations, and it was a financial impact as well. That's when the market had changed significantly, and I was stuck holding the bag. And my director of operations resigned, and I then had to do everything myself, back like it was in 2018. And that was a shitty time for me. Financially, I was selling still, 2-3 million a month in business, and somehow not making an income. I had heavy expenses, $70,000, $80,000 a month in expenses. But them leaving was a blessing for me, which I have nothing against them, but allowed me to sort of like look at my business and see where my weaknesses are and what I needed. So I realized there were things that I was doing that I didn't need to have that expense. And me and this person, his name is Michael, we had a great friendship. And the conversation of starting a brokerage happened organically. And his director of operations then came into my team, low key undercover, as my now director of operations. What she was really doing was seeing the gaps in my business and also getting to know my agents because she was soon going to be working with them as well. This was a great play for us. That probably gave us about 4 to 5 months of ramping up to where my agents had no idea that she was working for a different team and company, but was low key going to be the pivotal part and the head leader of our company when Vibe started. So that came in May of 2023 when we started the brokerage. She is our current director of operations, and she is one of the strongest, smartest, high EQ leaders that I've met. And this all happened through her just personality. There isn't any kind of like training or any kind of large company she worked for. This is her as a person. And she has a huge heart, which is very important to me. So the way we have our company structured is myself at the top, well, I'm sorry, no. I don't even have myself at the top. I have myself in the agent pool, right? I'm the visionary. I give direction. I'm not the person that makes decisions in that regard. So her name is Kelsey. Kelsey is our director of operations. We have our broker who gives feedback and answers agent questions or challenges. We have a director of finance, director of listings, director of transactions, director of marketing, director of coaching.
Damn.
So those people, I think, are what made my life easier. And I will say that I definitely work a lot in the brokerage, but I work less than I did compared to 2021 and 2022 when it was a lot on my shoulders.
Right.
So I think that I have gotten to the point of where I am now because I value leverage and I have no problem spending money and spending financials on high talent.
Yeah, I think that's smart because there's so many team leads or business owners that they're worried about the bottom line, and they should be, but they're also not willing to spend a little to make triple, right? And some fail. Like, don't get me wrong, you're going to spend some money as you know, and you all of a sudden you're like, that didn't work, and that was $100,000 in 2 years I can't get back. But I believe that most of the time it'll pay off if you get the right people and leverage them appropriately. So that's
Yeah,
smart.
I have a hard time firing people as well. That took me a while to do, even for my first assistant, who there was red flags the first 2 weeks of hire.
20 years later.
Yeah. So she unfortunately she was let go by my then director of operations. And so my DOO now, she has full autonomy to make decisions. Of course, I want the insight, I want the knowledge, I want to get feedback and hear why she's thinking some way. But if she tells me she feels some way, she has full autonomy to make a decision herself. So I think that is the fastest way for us to grow. And if there is a big decision that I'm going to make, of course, I'm bringing it to their attention to get buy-in.
Yeah.
Or to get approval because I know that I don't know everything and I don't know what's around the corner sometimes. And she'll ask the questions of, I think we should kind of pause on this or we should be looking into this a little bit more because I'm nervous about this happening, which is a conversation we had this morning. And I value the opposing thoughts.
Yeah. No, I mean, and finding somebody, that's the diamond in the rough. Finding somebody that you can trust, knowing that if I don't see you for 2 weeks, I know you're doing what you've got to be doing to help the cause, and I don't have to check in on you. If you're out that day, you're out that day. I don't have to even know about it because nothing's going to be missing because I know you're doing the right thing. So that's a valuable, important trait.
Yeah.
in
We
somebody
give
to find.
unlimited vacation time for that reason, right? We trust people we work with. If they take advantage, then it's a conversation we'll have, but nobody has up until this point. So we know that people in our company are bought in and they want to see us go where we want to go. And they're all in.
What's the biggest thing you offer your agents? Because you offer them so much that you're like, if I took that away, there would be a mutiny. But it's so valuable. It could be small, but it's so valuable.
I think the biggest thing that people probably value is our offer writing services, you know?
Yeah, I actually was hoping you're going to say that because I don't do that. And I've been toying with it with VAs, so I'd love to hear this.
Yeah, so we have our app, which I would love to share you guys at one point. I think you guys would love what we have built. In our app is a jot form. You complete this. Takes me about 90 seconds on average. The longest part for me is like finding out what my client's phone number and email address is. I have to go out of the app and like go to my contacts and put it in. Which we're entering in just basic information, client name, address, purchase price, deposit, inspection, settlement date, anything creative you have to add in there as well. The admins, which is 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. They have to respond back. They respond to this within 30 minutes to acknowledge it's came in, and they have to complete it within 90 minutes. Once they complete that, they then tell our agents, hey, this is completed. It's in your dot loop. Please check this out and make sure it's correct. And if you want us to send it, we can send it on your behalf. So I'll then go into dot loop, make sure it's correct, because what I input into the jot form is how they prepared it. So if it's a $100,000 property and if I put $5 million, then they might be overpaying for a property. So I have to make sure it's correct. And then once it is, I'll say, yep, go ahead and send it to the client. I'll give the client a text, hey, just a heads up, expect it in your inbox. And then once they sign it, if I'm still on the road or in appointments, hey, can you send it to the listing agent, summarize the key terms, copy me. Once that's sent, I'll then send a text to the agent, hey, it's in your inbox. Any questions, give me a shout. I can often complete that before my clients even get home from our tours.
So the question I always have with that, is it just not easy? And I think I know the answer now, but is it just not easier to go in a dot loop and just click the buttons and be done with it? It literally saves you that much time?
So I've never done it from my phone, so maybe it is. But quite honestly, for me, that 20, 30 minutes, whatever it may take, I think my time is better spent doing something with my family, lead generation, going in some other way versus preparing an offer that I could give somebody. No offense to our, virtuals, they are lovely, but much lower pay than what I would pay someone here locally or myself.
This is actually a tactical. We may even have to cut this out because it's a nerd question. And Wayne, I'm trying to not let Wayne talk this entire podcast. I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm like,
you're doing great. You're doing great. Yeah, I'm gonna go have a smoke. So I don't even smoke, and there we go. Yeah, I might start.
Could you do the dot loop, have your VA send it to you, the agent, and just put your initial on the very bottom page? So if you click it, it goes to the next. And if you don't sign it, it's like, hey, that's wrong. Fix it. But they send it to you, it's like, click, I saw it, then it goes to the next buyer to sign.
Yeah, I don't think the dot loop has that functionality. It's a great idea. So if there is something to change, I can then change it in that specific document, right? I know how to change things once the document's uploaded. I just don't know how to bring all the documents into that specific dot loop or change things out. I wouldn't be as fast either. So if it's something I have to change, I'll then in the email tell them, or I often want to educate them as well. Hey, I'm not calling you out, but this is what I changed in the offer that for the future, I want to make sure that you correct it for the next person. See, I do correct it in dot loop, but often if it's something I may have forgot a seller contribution addendum, I'll tell them, they'll put it in, and then, hey, send it to the client. But it's a good point.
How many VAs does it take to run 9 to 9, 7 days a week?
We have 6 virtual assistants. Yeah.
But just for that, or is that just
No, this is transaction management, listing management, requesting reviews. They can order some client gift for if our agent puts it through the system. Compliance is one of those as well. So we have 3 on rotation that are for the most part writing offers.
Gotcha. Wow. All right, Wayne, would you like to add something to the conversation? You're going to look pretty all day.
No, you guys are doing great. No, I think it's I love the tactical things that you built, and I think that's really, really helpful to give the people that are listening to this. What are some of I would just love to know a couple of the other, what are the simple, doesn't even need to be simple, but what are some of the tactical things you guys have put in place, either to let you stay on track of everything that's going on, or to help with communication, streamlines things. I just think those are things you guys have done really well. And I would love to know, what are some of those? I hate the word systems, right? Because it's such a blanket, weird word, but what are some of the things that have made life easier for you and the entire team, is maybe a way of saying that better.
Yeah. You want to speak from a leadership standpoint, or is this more an agent standpoint?
No, I love from a leadership standpoint. Yeah. Because I think people struggle, they see Steven's got 30,000 people he needs to talk to on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? How are you doing all that and getting it all managed and keeping track?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it falls on the shoulders of our director of operations. For me, I have calls twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, for 45 minutes. Sometimes it goes over, and we have a notes section that we kind of share together of hey, what should we talk about during this call? Or what things that we want to bring up that we should discuss? And it could be something very in the weeds of things. It could be very something high level or visionary or ideas. And we often parking lot a lot of these ideas that I have, because they're just going to happen to be there. And a lot of times I'm in the call talking to them, and I'm still flying the airplane as I'm trying to land it, with the stuff they have, and get buy from them at the same time. So myself, my partner, and director of operations have a call twice a week. We have a monthly P&L review with myself, my partner, director of operations, and our director of finance. All the meetings that are between my director of operations and director of transactions, or director of marketing, or director of coaching, those happen under her wing, and she meets with them every other week, or a phone call every other week. And of course, we're always accessible any given time, but I rarely have to meet or have conversations with anyone else besides my DOO or director of finance, because they're having that themselves. So the whole death by meeting book is real, and we often struggle with it. And then also have our ancillary businesses too. We have a mortgage title and insurance company, and we have those conversations once a quarter. We did it once a month for a while, but again, it can get a bit tiresome and a lot of the same conversations. And now it's once a quarter. Checking on fine.
Do you have like a rigid flow for a lot of those conversations? Are they all, what's the flow for most of those? Have you found having like a rigid agenda for those has been helpful, or are they mostly just, hey, here's the things that we put in the bucket to talk about?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to go into a different thing as well, but to answer your question, it's a very open conversation, open forum, specifically when it's myself and my partner. This is my DOO controlling the conversation. She's the one that sees the notes, the conversations, and she's the one that says, hey, we're going to move to this next topic. And we then go into it. So we try to stay on track until she gives us the authority to then speak on a different note.
Let me ask this just really quick, because here's my insight, and I want to see if you guys say this is special or not, or if this is true. It seems like when you have the wrong people, you got to have 100 processes, and every meeting's got to be rigid, and you got like it seems like you have to have all these things wildly nailed down. And when you have the right person, you don't have to have all of that. Like you said, like the director of operations, like she's got this, meaning I don't have to be rigid and I ask the same 10 questions to make sure she gives me, like, it seems like it's the people is so important. Cause I think it seems some people that have like, they're over structured, and it's probably because they have the wrong people, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think that if we had a meeting where it was like, 15 minutes and 30 minutes we're spending on this topic, I don't know that would work for me because I'm a very unstructured person. My personality is just doesn't operate that way. And she is a teacher in the classroom, and the two of us are students. And when we're called on, we then speak and answer the question. So I think that it's worked really well so far with her in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
But something else that we do as well, and this is newer for us, but we started something called the Vibe Alignment meeting. And this is the heads of our department. This is our board of directors meeting, right? So it's our leaders in each department, also key producers and key influencers in our company. So we may have a topic of like, hey, we want to have a retreat. This is what we're thinking. Can we get impact? Can we get feedback and thoughts from the crowd of like what we're not thinking of, right? Or, hey, we want to have this person come in for a training. What are your thoughts? What should they speak on? Or what are some trainings that we should then speak on, or people we should bring in to connect with to add more value to our company? So we'll often get their input on what you think is, it makes them feel like they're heard and they're seen, and it's their chance to express some of what they want and what they want to hear more of and see more of, and what maybe they don't.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So let's move over to syndications and investments, because you're big in the investment world. So how do you find investments? Like, that's a basic question, but like, do all you're doing, but still make time for investments and, get them out there, and even syndication if you're working on that. Like, what's your investment strategy as a real estate broker, and why'd you get into it that way?
Well, and let me ask one question before that, just so we can get some clarity or see it better. What is your 20% nowadays? Like, what is your job and roles on a weekly basis? So you got the meetings you're doing, but that's not always like, what is your key activities
For the brokerage you're speaking of?
for your life? I just want to know, like, where is Stephen best served? Because you're doing the investment stuff. I'm sure that's a big part of it. I'm sure managing is part. Like, what are the kind of the four boxes you're living in?
So for me, it's probably lead generation is one. For my personal business is still the where I make my income. So still filling that pipeline, creating a small micro team that I have and I've built. Visionary thoughts and conversations for the brokerage of what we could be doing better and different, and what that looks like. Investing, I'm still always in the hunt for a good deal. Even when I say that, hey, I have a max capacity, I can't handle anything else further. If a good deal comes my way, I have to say yes, because it's a great deal. And of course, family is always priority as well. So even though I operate, a big business and have my hands into a lot of pots, that is still a priority for me in my life.
So I'll get on my box just for a second here, because here's what's interesting. Give people permission to stay in production, right? Like you hired the right director of operations, and you're still in production, which I think is freaking beautiful. And someone wrote on a tablet somewhere that you're not allowed to do that, right? Like someone wrote on a tablet somewhere that you have to get out of production and you have to be blah. And I think it's definitely not one size fits all advice, right? It's borderline insanity because we don't see it working all that well, right? So I think that that's just a really important thing to mention. Like, that's where your highest best is you're great at. You're not the best DOO, right? So like, let that go and keep doing what you're doing. So anyway, that's great. We can go back to Brad's investment question.
No.
I just think that that's a really important thing to put out there because Brad, we talked about that the last 2 days in E4 and E5. Like, I just really hate going back to production. It's like, why? It's because they feel like they're making some cardinal sin. It's like, go sell some houses and then get all these right people around you to do all the other stuff that, by the way, you suck at doing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the way for me to kind of, if I'm in the weeds, then I'm in the dirt with my agents. The things that I'm seeing, I can then tell them of like, this is what I'm seeing, whether it's, a change in the market or different strategies or whatever it may be, allows me to kind of be with them and feel in the same pain or relate to them in some capacity. For me, I've now like leveraged myself out where I'm not showing as many properties, right? So I have 5 showing assistants, depending on what county that client may be in. And so I'll first try to meet that client myself for the first time. And if not, then I bring in my showing assistant and introduce them as you're hiring me, but getting them for free. Right. So that agent shows them the properties. We're in a group text message together. I still give feedback on how to make our offer most competitive. I'm leveraging my relationships in the business. I think that I'm one of the more probably plugged in agents with my colleagues in the space. And I'm still giving them feedback of repairs and negotiating, what that may look like. So I go to all my closings or try to go to most of my closings because that's me sort of re-engaging with my client, getting referrals, obviously making a social media post and showing that I'm working with this person in case my other friends know who that person is as well. And I just don't want them to say, yeah, we had a great experience with Steve and his team, but like we never did talk or meet Steve. So I don't want to have that happen. Yes, I can't be everywhere. So the bigger my business grows, I may not be able to be in every conversation or every place, but I want to be there as much as I can as long as the time allows for it. But to your point about hiring the right people, not being in sort of that seat, it's 100% true in how I built my business. And I think that if I ever, if I lost these people, it would be a lot different. My business would be a lot different. To go into the investment space, so the way I grew up was in a rental home. My parents rented our entire life. Owning real estate was not a conversation and a word that we had in our home. So we grew up in an apartment. I was thankful and grateful to be getting a full scholarship to go to college. I didn't have any direction of where I was going. I just wanted to keep going somewhere. This then led me to a job that I had a little bit of a slowdown in my field and I was less busy. I was working 40 hours a week, right? Just less busy. I always had a side hustle in some way and I gave it a shot of, let's look into investing in real estate. Quickly learned that investing in real estate needed capital and resources and needed somebody that was handy and I am not. My wife is my handyman, right? So that was not something I was going to probably excel in. So I said, you know what? Why don't I give the sales side a shot and see how this works? The sales side shot, that worked out amazing and blew up for me. In 2015, 16, and 17, as I was still in real estate, I saw my friends and colleagues that I went to high school with and met, and they're buying rental properties or fixing and flipping. Like, why not me if they're doing it? Right. So I bought my first rental in 2017. The next few years, I bought a few more. I was grateful to buy my mother her first house in 2018. I don't look at that as an investment as one to my portfolio, but I was able to kind of buy her first home. And over the several years, my wife and I now own 50 units. And so that was a big part of us was buying and holding when the rates were low, right? So our average rate in that portfolio is probably 4.25% and a commercial loan, which is, very good. Some are on 15-year notes that we're now 5 years into the 15-year AM schedule. And so in 10 years, I have those hopefully paid off. I'm now in the flipping sort of space right now. I have 8 flips happening simultaneously. I leveraged the right contractors that I trust to do the work. Of course, there's challenges and issues you come across, but you just have to work through those conversations and work through it. One thing about me is I just get up and do the shit. I don't sit there and curl up in a ball and get out of, kick it out of my bed because there's an issue. No, I run into the fire. And a lot of these are properties that I go into for my clients. I walk into it as an investor first, like, hey, is this a property that I want to buy or can buy if it makes sense for myself, my client? Not always does it matter, doesn't make sense. And it may be a retail sale, based on what their goals are and what they want to do and the price point. It may be a retail sale that I place in the market and I do the best for them and getting top dollar. But what if it's a property in distress where I can buy it myself or sell it to an investor client of mine. If it needs work, but they don't have the cash to do so, how about I do what's called a novation, where I put out money myself to replace the flooring, paint the house, do repairs, and I collect that on the back end at closing out of the proceeds. Or I buy a property subject to their mortgage. That's very popular these days, where a person has a little bit of equity, but not a ton, and they can't sell property at a certain price point, but they have a 3.5% rate. Like, hey, I want that rate. So how can I buy your loan and take over your mortgage and also make it beneficial to you to get out of your mortgage and also probably make more than what you could have if you sold it on the market? There's a lot of trust there, right? Because it's a very complicated thing to explain to people of how they're going to sell the property to me. There's a transfer of deed, but they're going to stay on the note, the mortgage. They're now financially responsible, but I'm taking over the property ownership. So it's a little bit of a complicated thing to explain, but if you can do that or have a company do that for you where they can feel more comfortable, then there's the win. And for me, I think that I'm pretty trustworthy and I have a pretty good track record for doing what I say and saying what I do. And if I give a client of mine an idea that this is going to benefit them and benefit me and it's a win-win, they're open-minded.
So explain how would you explain that? So I've got, a house that's worth, let's say, 1,000. I owe, half of that on it. What is low more, like how would you, whatever scenario you want to do, but I would just love to hear how you kind of explain that.
Yeah, this happened just a few weeks ago where this couple had bought a house in 2020, early parts of 2022. They had a low rate, I think maybe 3.75%. They bought the house for $440. In order for them to sell the house, pay the commissions, pay the transfer recording taxes, they had to sell the house they had a very low down payment and obviously not a lot of principal payments and bought down the equity or put in the equity at that time. And the house didn't appreciate for a ton. So I believe they owed $420 after putting down 3% and a little bit of equity in the house as they paid down the mortgage. But for what they had to sell it for and the proceeds they wanted to make, they weren't able to do at a certain price at $450. Right? They're paying 5-6% in commissions. After paying for 1.5% transfer recording taxes, they were going to have to bring money to the table. Well, how about I buy the property for you for $450 that you want, and you don't have to pay me any commissions. So you can actually walk away with that proceeds, and I'll pay it to you in cash, or we can work out an owner financing type opportunity. Their mortgage was maybe $2,400 a month, and because they had a low rate, and I knew I could rent it out for $2,750. Not a huge margin, right? Not your typical investment where you leave a lot of room for repairs, CapEx, vacancy, but you're buying it because of their rate, and they were already 3 years into their 30-year fixed mortgage. So obviously, the further they go, they're making more and more principal payments. And at that time, I think they were making $800 a month towards their principal payment. So yes, I'm making $300 a month in the rental income, but they're also making $800 towards their principal payment. So I'm more interested in that, and it's a long-term play versus the short cash on cash that I'm making, because that's a part a lot of agents, I think, make or investors make, is it's a mistake.
Well, you just borrowed $400,000 at 3% with putting with $20,000 out of your pocket or whatever.
In this case,
that's an incredible deal right now.
Yeah, in this case, gave them $15,000, and the other $15K was in our financing.
And I think that's the biggest mistake that agents are missing is like, you're in the trenches. Stop thinking about just next commission and think about all the other opportunities. And the other thing that I think is huge, and I learned a lot of this from Kevin Cross, he talks a lot about what do they actually want? They want to sell the house, but what do they actually want, right? Especially on commercial deals, maybe they don't want all the cash right now, so they go get half to the government. Maybe they'd love to do some sort of owner finance, and you take care of them for the next 15 years as they're in retirement, and they, whatever it is, get out of. And I think that's what I love you sharing is stories like that gets agents thinking so much bigger and building wealth in this long-term perspective. And there's so many opportunities, especially when you're in it every day. I mean, I get jealous. I want to go out and start banging some doors. All right. Just because like you see, if your eyes are open, you see all these amazing opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, there's a guy, the Pace Morby, if you know Pace. I mean, he's the guy that's kind of like the legend in the sub-2 space. And I think he might be in Texas as well. He's the guy that kind of brought this to light in different creative financing strategies and different options. And And this is sort of how we've, I would say, brought a lot of agents to our company as well through these conversations. Most brokerages, nothing against your bigger franchise brokerages, they're not going to share these things because they're not making much income, if anything at all, off the sale. If I buy this property from my client directly, there's no real estate commissions being paid.
Right.
And then sometimes I'm buying it as an investor, not as an agent selling the property for them.
Yes.
Well, the liability is through the roof too.
Exactly.
Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's operating under a different entity. You don't want that under the brokerage itself. But we are educating our agents on these conversations, how to source deals, not just in the MLS and through bandit signs and circle prospecting, but what are other ways that you can source opportunities? And then once you find the deal, how do you find the money? Who's going to invest in it? If you find the asset, you can find the capital. And then once you have that,
I love it.
You analyze.
Yeah, it was somebody yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever. They're like, well, I just got to find the capital. And like 6 hands in the room went up and they're like, I'll give you the money. I'll give you the money. Right. It's like money was not the problem. It's funny. But like you said, I think I love what you're doing. Dennis Tuttle and E5 talked about this as well. He doesn't do business coaching with his agents necessarily. He's got people on the team that do that. He does wealth coaching. And that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, I'm going to, right. We have a business coach that's going to help you grow your real estate business, but you're helping them with their wealth building. And man, they'll stay with you forever when you help them build, a portfolio that takes care of them and creates generational wealth. Who cares what your splits are? Like, that changes the game.
Yeah. The part of this business is there's no retirement package or 401k that you're leaning on when you have the business.
Unless you're at EXP. I'm joking. Keep going.
You make this retirement income by owning properties, hopefully free and clear.
Yes.
And that is your pension,
Yes.
So I wanted every person in our company that when we launched in May of 2023, I stood up there and said, I wanted every person in our company to own at least 3 rental properties before they get out of the business. Ideally paid off. That's not easy, but own 3 properties that you can then build wealth on because you need some sort of pension that you won't get by being in this space.
Dude, that's sexy as hell. And I was going to ask you what's bringing agents to your company, and I think we nailed it, right? Like it's so much bigger than just doing a couple transactions or what the splits are or whatever. It's all the things that people I think get hung up on. And man, you're nailing. And how beautiful is that for you to be able to go like, our agents retire. Like we have retirement parties. Like no real estate company in the world has retirement parties. And how cool to be like, hey, Jason has his 5 rental properties. He worked his 9 to 5 hard for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, whatever it is. And here's where he built his wealth.
Yeah. There's many agents that have come to our company and don't even ask for the compensation model, what you get for it. They just want to be part of the culture and part of the conversations that we're having. And even for me too, it's like my clients, and I express this multiple times over and over again, that when I go to an appointment for you to sell your home, there are a lot of times where I may convince you not to sell your house. Because if you own a home where you own, for the past 5 years, you're 5 years into your amortization schedule, you are at a 3% rate. Like, of course, you can sell your house and I'd be happy to do it for you. But why not keep that as a rental kind of producing property? And then your drawback is, okay, well, my capital is tied into my property. Well, before you leave your home, why don't you do a home equity loan or home equity line of credit where you can then borrow from your asset, right? And there's other companies you can go to and get a second loan on your equity. Yes, you're paying a higher interest rate because you're paying the market plus more. However, if you can use that money and make more money than what the rate you're paying is, then it's a win-win, right? So pull your equity out. And if you need to use it towards your down payment, go ahead and do that. And still look at your cash on cash return between what your prior mortgage was, your HELOC, and what your rental income is. But I can guarantee you that even if you're break even, the principal payments you're making over time, you will thank me in 15, 20, 25 years because you have a paid off home and then sell your house. When you pay off your mortgage and you're at a 3% note, then sell it because you're not leveraging capital anymore.
Dude, that's sexy as hell.
Thanks, Sam.
I mean, I'm in. Where we go?
Well, Wayne's defense, he's always in for a good pyramid scheme. So just let him know.
The syndications we haven't gotten into yet. We've operated very low scale of like multi-member LLCs. We do have a partner that we've aligned with. He's a commercial agent. He's passed a series. He's able to do a syndication type things. So we haven't done that yet. At one point we'll explore it, but it's a bit of a different animal too. And probably not right now.
Are your ancillary companies bringing in income? Are they worth the squeeze for and maybe say it at 2 different places? Let's say it's a 20-person company versus a 100-agent company. Is there a difference? Are they worth the time that you've put into them? I guess?
Yeah. So I have two companies that I worked with, both mortgage and title. I own a company with each of them, right? 50% on both companies. We are bringing in about 20 files a month on title. Title isn't a huge profit center, but on average, it might be, $400 to $500 per file. So making about $10,000 a month in title. On mortgage, we're making about 75 basis points on average, maybe a little bit more. So just in July's closings, we did like 2.2 for 18K in profit. So, and of course, we use that money to both, market towards the agent and their business because they would otherwise go to somewhere else and get other internet leads and other sort of client event spend. So
Yes.
we do set aside a budget for growing their business, and then also obviously funding the company. And the reason, the pitch that we ask them to use our company is so that we can give more resources, bring more talent in, and
Absolutely.
do more things for them to grow their business and their wealth and knowledge.
What's the number one thing you've seen work well to have your ancillary partners get business from your agents without just like mandating they have to use somebody, which I know you don't do, but
Yes,
what's been a good thing?
a couple things. So when we onboard agents every month, now we're bringing on about 10 agents a month. It has been recently. So let's say if we have an onboarding meeting where it happens maybe, let's say every other month, and we have about 15, 20 people in that meeting. Our partners are in there, mortgage, title, and insurance. Also our department heads, director of transactions, director of marketing, director of finance, our broker, and they have to meet with each person like a field trip. They have a slip. They have to go to each person. They have to sign off on it that they met with them. And it's how they can support them in their business. And it's not about like, okay, how can I get this from you? It's how can we be a supportive resource to make it a win-win. So they meet with each person. That then loan officer may set up a coffee date, lunch date, get to learn them a little bit more, and that then forms a relationship. And I'm very confident in the mortgage company that we've partnered with. They're very low overhead. They're a broker. And whenever I give business to them, I never have to question, are you going to make me look bad? Like, how expensive
Right.
are you? Or charging high interest rate and points? Like, don't make me look like an idiot because otherwise, why would we have this company, right? It's not about profits, it's about the people first. And so they meet with them, they build that relationship and continuously be around them. If we have events, if the title and mortgage company may not be sponsoring that specific event, we may still have them there and still put out this sponsored by Front Porch Title, Vantage Mortgage, just because we want to show their input and value and what they're bringing to the table. We also have weekly calls every Wednesday where it's a mortgage update, where are rates? This is what I'm seeing in the market. And it just allows them to have a familiar face with them. In the beginning, I think it's the onboarding and requiring them to have a one-on-one meeting to see how they can individually, in a custom way, support and grow their business. Of course, it's a lot easier with the agents that are doing, 2, 3, 4 million a year versus the ones doing 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 because the
Right.
relationship and, this business is all relationships. But I'm confident that our company is most competitive versus many others. And I think that it allows them to at least sometimes give them a second option. Like, hey, I want 3 choices, as you're supposed to anyways in real estate. But give them as one of the options because they're going to be competitive. And even if you don't use them, at least tell your primary company to match what we gave them.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. I
Love
absolutely
it.
agree with that.
All right, let me hit with some rapid fire questions if you're ready. You ready?
Try
Okay, what do you drink in the morning?
water.
Boom. Okay. Ooh, weird. You have to explain that to us in
Not
a
a coffee
future
drinker.
episode. All right, finish these sentences. The fortune in real estate or is in what?
Relationships.
Love it. Client loyalty is built by your agents stay with you because
Culture.
love it. The most expensive mistake most brokers make is
Brokers. Jesus. Rapid fire. Brokers make.
or team leaders, however you want to say it.
Not firing fast enough.
Ooh, there you go. Yep. All right. What's your top 2 or 3 tech pieces that you use on a daily basis that help you?
The Vibe Lounge, which is our internal app that we have.
And was that app, did you guys create that yourself or are you using something?
There's a back end to it, but we customized it ourselves to be, ChatGPT, of course,
Amen.
and Instagram to get some, I don't know, different thoughts and creativity.
Absolutely. What do you want to be known for? Or remembered for?
Being a good person, caring more about the people than the wealth that I'm building, and also helping people create wealth for themselves and their family.
Last one, most important things you want your kids to say you taught them.
Treat people how you would want to be treated and do the right thing always.
Amen. Dude, I love it. Dude, I can't wait to see what you guys do over the next couple years. I mean, it's already phenomenal. If you change nothing, it'd be amazing, but I can't wait to see. Actually, let me ask one more. What do you want to be celebrating a year from now?
Yeah. Want to be celebrating double the agent size. So go from 150 to 300 people and not opening any more offices.
Amen. I love it. I love it. Dude, that's awesome. Man,
great.
thank you for being transparent. Thank you for showing up. Man, it's badass. It's so exciting to see. For you, it's exciting, but like for me, it's exciting to see your success. It's really exciting to see how you're impacting like the agents in the real estate community. I think that's what's really cool. Like, let's change the average outcome for agents. You know what I mean? And help this not be the thing that you just die on the vine with, but you actually build something great. So pretty cool,
Thanks,
man.
man. It's not about selling a house.
All right. How can people reach out to you? If they reached out to you, why would you want people to reach out to you? Maybe you're like, I don't want anybody to call me, right? What do you want people to reach out to you about?
They can reach out for any reason. And honestly, I'll probably answer every DM, every text, every call. So it's probably not, I just love to say no to people. It's probably also a problem that I have, and also a reason why I've grown my business to where it is. I'm a yes man. I have FOMO for not attending things and kind of just what it is. So Instagram is StevePip28. My cell phone number I'll give in the DM if you DM me.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to reach me.
Sweet.
Dude, it's amazing. Thank you, dude. Brad, any final words of wisdom?
No, they're all out. They're already out. So thanks for making time. I know you're super busy, dude.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.